everybody, Zach again at newtutorial.com. I wanted to come in and do a video for you today. I want to do a video on chickens. Are chickens kosher or not? Are they not kosher? I was just thinking this actually the other day when we were cleaning a couple chickens, because I was cleaning these chickens, gutting them and cleaning them and getting them ready for cooking, tearing out the guts and stuff like that and putting them in a waste bag. But some of the pieces of the chicken were getting off to the side, and you know, they were all kind of sticky. It's just a mess to do that anyway. And so some of the other chickens that were out foraging were coming over and eating some of the other parts of the chicken that were falling outside the waste basket. They were eating other chickens. I'm like, cannibals, you know, how is this possibly clean?
Over the last 2 days, we've had a very big problem on the farm. The birds have started to peck themselves, actually to eat themselves. Cannibalism. That's really terrible. This is what actually happened. The birds peck the vent of one bird. Cannibalism. And then once one pecks and blood starts coming out, the rest of the birds start pecking.
Cannibals. You know, how is this possibly clean?
So over the past 2 days, they pecked 2 birds and they literally pulled out their intestines alive. Can you imagine pulling out your intestines alive and eating you alive? And I was like, whoa, this is really, really terrible.
Cannibals. You know, how is this possibly clean?
And we give them all the food scraps that you guys have seen, you know, the tomatoes from the garden, the watermelons, cabbage leftovers, everything. They feed on the grass, they move around all this. But for some reason, they still go on to peck themselves. Actually, to eat themselves. Cannibalism. That's really terrible.
Cannibals. You know, how is this possibly clean?
This video from Zach Bauer is over 9 years ago. And in his video, despite the obvious, he goes against his observation and what his intuition was, or what he sensed, that chicken was unclean. And he concluded in the video that chicken is clean. And I'm going to be proving that it's not. And more so proving it from the Torah, the Gospels, and the book of Revelation. But most importantly, the Torah. It's in the Torah and in the Gospels that chicken is unclean. He has no idea. From what I know, that's still his position on chicken, that chicken is clean. This is 9 years later. I still think he believes that. And in this video that you are now watching, I'm going to bring out 2 different proofs from the Torah and from the New Testament, and prove 2 different ways that chicken is unclean. Both of these methods and these things that I found, I have never seen done before. Though one has been known to the Syriacs in the East, but I still don't know one Torah teacher who has revealed the information that I'm going to reveal in this video. And the information is still obscure and hidden and not known to anybody at all. So here you can see the video contents right here for this video that you're watching. There's 2 proofs that I'm going to bring out. So what I'm going to be sharing is new, old information. It's been under our noses the entire time. We just had to know where to look and how to understand it. And I'm going to be bringing it out in this video. Hallelujah. And Messiah Yeshua said, "Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man." And if you think about what comes out of your mouth, it's words. Words are what come out of your mouth, and by one's words, when one speaks against and rejects Yahweh Elohim's law, including his dietary law of clean and unclean food, one defiles oneself and is unclean. And if you don't believe me, what I just said about understanding his riddle, he gives us the answer right here later on in the chapter. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. So Messiah Yeshua is interpreting his own riddle. He's giving you the understanding that it's words. Words come out of the mouth. Okay? And it comes forth from the heart. So false witnesses, bearing false witness against Yahweh's dietary laws, that is a false witness. When you're doing that, when you speak against that, you're doing that. And this is Yahweh's nature of what he said, clean and unclean. That could also be considered a blasphemy. So talk about grace. There is a lot of brainwashed and ignorant Christians out there of the dietary law. They've been programmed by their pastors. They've been programmed by their Christian church or whatever their Christian religion. and they're ignorant of the dietary law, or they're brainwashed against it, of what's clean and unclean. So we got to be gracious about this understanding. Hopefully everybody can come to the truth of what's clean and unclean, because this is how it's going to be in the kingdom age. But when a person is presented the truth, that ignorant person or a brainwashed person, when they're presented the truth and they speak against the truth with their words, with their mouth, out of their mouth, they defile themselves. They make themselves unclean by speaking against Yahweh's dietary law that he set for the Israelites to live by, and those who are in his faith to live by. And so there are a lot of unclean Christians on YouTube, and my guess is I'm going to get a couple of comments in the comment section about quoting, not that which goeth into the mouth that defiles a man, but that which comes out of the mouth that defiles a man. So I'm sure they're going to try to quote this and preach it to the choir. They have no idea what they're talking about, brothers and sisters. We got to be gracious, but at the same time, because they're brainwashed and ignorant, we got to be gracious. But at the same time, it's their evil heart that Messiah Yeshua talked about, because they're speaking forth from their heart. They don't want to receive the truth. And this is true that the Yahweh's food laws are applicable to this day, is here in Isaiah 66. Yahweh Elohim's end-time fire judgment against self-righteous swine flesh eaters and chicken eaters. This is God's final judgment against the wicked. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger and with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination, which is chicken's an abomination, you'll see, and the mouse, and shall be consumed together, saith Yahweh. So this is an end times judgment. Christians, they sanctify themselves and purify themselves by claiming Jesus while speaking against the dietary law and eat swine flesh. So they're saying, hey, I'm clean by the blood of Yeshua, but I'm going to disregard these dietary laws. I'm going to eat swine flesh. And they also eat chicken, but this was really unknown. So you can't be held account against something that you know, but you should know. Even just like Zach Bauer observed, he's like, that animal's unclean. There's no way this animal can be clean. And blood, you can't be eating blood. You have to, I'll talk about eating blood later, and other unclean foods. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're saying, I got the blood of Jesus, so I can now eat swine flesh and unclean food and blood. That's not right. All right, and then Jews, they sanctify and purify themselves by performing the Kapparot ceremony, which is a Yom Kippurim sacrifice of a chicken above their head, which is an unclean bird, and they eat it. So they are literally sanctifying themselves and purifying themselves when they do this sacrifice right here. And Isaiah 66 is a prophecy against Jerusalem. So this picture was taken from Jerusalem, and this is two Orthodox Jews performing the Kapparot with their trying to purify themselves from their sin by taking away all their sin for that year with this unclean bird and this unclean animal, which is evil. So that's just something to consider. Isaiah 66 is a prophecy against Jerusalem, and there are pork-eating Christians in Jerusalem. Here's another picture of Christian Arabs. There are a lot of Christian Arabs out there that eat pork. Here's a pig statues, little pig statues right here to the food that they're about to eat. They're eating swine's flesh, and they're doing the same thing. So that's something to consider about the prophecy against Jerusalem at the end of the age. Jerusalem is unclean, and chicken is unclean. But Jerusalem is unclean, and chicken is unclean, and it needs a fire judgment according to, I think, like Ezekiel chapter 24. I think that's the fire judgment chapter. Maybe 25, 20 through 24, 25, something around that. But chicken is unclean. So a warning to all the Christians out there who might have gotten this far in the video. I don't know if you have been able to get it this far or not. It's only a couple of minutes in, but this is a lot of truth in this video. And I don't know if you guys can handle the truth because you love lies. But if you got this far, I just want to warn you all. 1 Peter 4:17, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Elohim. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of Elohim? The gospel of Elohim is fear Yahweh and keep his commandments. Okay, so we understand that. All right. So there you have it. And he has dietary laws that we got to do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have. We have to understand that, you know, things are, this chicken understanding is only going to be restored right now. It hasn't really, it's been black and white. We see it, but I'm going to be giving you the information. I'm going to prove it from the Torah, the Gospels, and the book of Revelation, 2 different ways from that information that chicken is unclean. The biblical proof, chicken is unclean. And I am Brother Nick, and today is the 13th day of the 11th month on Yahweh Elohim's solar calibrated non-Gregorian 364-day calendar. It's January 30th, 2025. I'm filming this video from the island of Cyprus. And this behind me, this map is not an artificial backdrop. This is a map that I got hung up here in my little studio. If this information resonates with you, which it should, you can download this video and mirror it on your channel and share it with everybody. This is a really important video on chicken being unclean. It's unknown. This has been a very difficult topic within the Torah community. So this is something for everybody to know. So please download it and then mirror this video. Upload it. Re-upload the video. So let's go ahead and get into this video. A lot in here, okay? Now, before I start the video, I want to talk about this and bring this up to everybody out there. In my video series called The Restored Covenant of Noah, Only Eats Boiled Flesh. That's this playlist right here. Several times I have mentioned on my channel and in these videos and other places that chicken and turkey is unclean. And viewers have been asking me for information to support it. Now, this was just my understanding. I saw some things. I thought it was talking about it says, I think in Leviticus, about the critters that crawl on all fours. I thought it was like the bird's talons. They have 4 talons, but only 3 of them touch the ground. So I thought that was that. That was a wrong misunderstanding there. But there's other information that we can tell by the behavior of the chicken that it's unclean. But just recently, I came to a new understanding, like I said, in the Torah, in the Gospels, and in the book of Revelation, that I'm going to be able to prove 2 different ways that the chicken is an unclean animal. And this is just a side note for all of my brothers and sisters out there, Master Yeshua, Torah followers. If you really want to follow the Torah, you have to not eat with the blood. I have a huge playlist. This understanding is like 6 years old now, I want to say right here, 6 years old, way back here. It says 5 years ago. I think it now should say almost 6 years ago in a month from now. You need to watch this playlist, especially this video, and this video, and this video. But I've been sharing with you an original understanding that we're only to eat boiled flesh. Gideon, he poured out the blood broth. His offering was flesh that was seethed or boiled in water, and he offered up the flesh in a basket, and then a pot of the blood broth water. And the angel of Yahweh did not consume the blood broth water. He told Gideon to pour it out into the soil, and that's called. And at the bottom of the blood broth sits the blood that's all congealed up and being cooked, which is what people get for gravy. You're not supposed to be eating with the blood. You're in violation of the covenant of Noah. This is a lost understanding. Watch this video, how to remove blood from meat. Okay, this is from over 5 years ago. I was using some frozen flesh, but I no longer ever use, I don't use meat factory flesh anymore unless I kill the animal now. I eat it. I won't eat a beast unless I kill it myself. You need to watch this video on why I'm a real Noahide, means the real covenant of Noah, and about Shavuot and the covenant of Noah, and understanding in this is probably the best explanation right here about how not to eat with the blood. You need to watch this video and abide by not eating with the blood. That's what Acts 15, Council of Jerusalem was all about. It said not to eat the blood. It means not to eat with the blood. In the scriptures, if you look in the Torah and in the prophets, it's about eating with the blood. We're not to be with the blood. You have to eat without the blood. That means you have to boil all of your flesh in a pot. That's why your pot is going to be holiness unto Yahweh. all the pots in Jerusalem are going to be holiness unto Yahweh, because they're all going to be partaking in boiled flesh according to the covenant of Noah. The only time you can eat roasted flesh with fire is the Passover, and that Passover lamb or kid goat has to be eaten in Jerusalem, where Yahweh put his name. Okay, that's the only place. So I need everybody to watch this. Link to this video playlist in the video description. So check this out. Open it up right now. Don't forget about this playlist. So as I said, I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. And here is a screenshot of my video editor and recorder that I have on my laptop. I've been wanting to make this video on chicken being unclean for some time. Here are some aggregated video clips that I took of different videos on YouTube about chicken back in April, right here, April 2024, that have been ready, but I just hadn't, it wasn't just time to put the video because I didn't really have something substantial to put it on. Even though my family and myself, we haven't eaten chicken in over 5.5 years. Actually over 6 years. And also chicken eggs. Okay, so it's been that long. But what I want to share with you all, brothers and sisters, is that I just got this information like about less than a week ago. I found this information and connected both, and I'm like, it blew my mind away. Hello, yeah. So I got to give it to you all so you have it hot and fresh. All right, and this is going to really be really interesting information in this video. So here are the video contents of this video. And 2 times I'm going to prove that chicken is unclean. I'm going to prove chicken is unclean from the New Testament and from Revelation, chapter 18 and 19, okay? I'm going to prove that it's speaking of chicken, okay? And then also a second time, I'm going to prove from the Torah and from the Gospels that chicken is unclean. It's in the Aramaic. It's been under our noses the entire time. You just have to have the Aramaic scriptures, both New and Old Testament, and the English translations of the Greek, at least in the New Testament, agree. And this is going to be some real interesting information that you probably have not heard. I have been on this subject, researching this subject for years, and I haven't seen anybody mention this information. So I hope that you're blessed. Hello, Yah, all praise to Yah. So this right here is all just support, and then this is other information, and then I'm going to talk about the false cock crow explanation. It's a false explanation that it really was a rooster crowing. And I'm going to go ahead and explain that and prove that from the scriptures. So now let me go ahead and begin. And I'm going to begin with a little short clip. You guys already seen it. Chickens are cannibals. Now I'm going to share a couple more clips on chickens being cannibals. And then I'm going to go ahead and get to the next information just to set up. I'm just setting up the New Testament. The Revelation 18 and 19 proves chicken unclean. Okay, proves it's talking about chicken. So here we go. Chickens are cannibals.
So I've been a chicken farmer my whole life. It's raised on farms, raised on chickens, bringing chickens up. Chickens are turning into some wild, demonic dinosaurs who just love eating each other. They're like cannibals. A fallen comrade is being cannibalized by his fellow comrades. If that was me laying there dead, they'll be eating me. It's a squeamish look away now. Animal lovers. Animals are eating an animal. If anyone's watching this, I don't know. I guarantee at least 1 or 2 of you would not know chickens eat chickens.
Eat a chicken in front of a chicken for 20,000 likes? What is wrong with you? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Always remember, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. Eat a chicken in front of a chicken for 100,000 likes? That's cannibalism. All right, guys, we got our chicken and we're at KFC. Chickens approve of KFC. Always remember, Yeshua is king. Always remember, Yeshua is king.
So wow, there you have it. Chickens are cannibals. And now let me go ahead and share with you guys that who aren't in the loop that chickens are also predator birds. They hunt and eat mice and snakes.
All right, mouse versus chicken. Here he goes.
I think it's done. I gotta get it.
Here's where you can get a good picture of it. Can you get it good?
Yeah.
What are they pulling out of it?
I don't know if it's babies or what. I don't know.
A baby snake can't be that long.
If you stretch it, it could. It might be their guts.
Where's the head?
I don't know. Don't care.
Our eggs are going to taste like snake.
Ooh, we're gonna have snake eggs. Once you come off, you gonna go.
Come on.
So, wow, chickens hunt and eat mice and snakes. They go crazy over eating mice. They love it. That's something to consider if you haven't already known about that. Now I'm going to go ahead and share that chickens are scavengers. This is going to be real disgusting of chickens eating some pig guts.
All right, y'all, as you can imagine, this is positively disgusting. Let me go ahead and let them out. We'll see what they do. It's exactly what we want. We're wanting the best compost in the world, and this is how we do it. And now these birds are going to compost. In fact, if you want to know the real truth, you can ask William. The best compost we ever make around here is when we put this kind of stuff in there. So that's exactly what we want. We're wanting the best compost in the world, and this is how we do it. And now these birds are going to work. All right.
So there you have it. Wow. All of those things. Chickens are cannibals. Chickens are predators. Chickens are scavengers. These are some traits of chickens. Just some of the traits of chickens. And these are common traits among other unclean birds. Here's a video of a bird, of a little stork or something, eating its sibling.
Oh, it's already out. Some moms kill the babies. Shit. It's okay. Grab it. Oh no. Can you grab it with you? Oh shit. Okay, you want me to grab it? Ah!
For her.
Come on, get it. Okay, alright.
So that was a video of a mother chicken eating a chicken hatchling, and now this is a bunch of chicks eating a dead chick. So now let me go ahead and get to the boiled meat and potatoes of this video. Yeah, boiled meat according to the covenant of Noah, Haloah Yah, which is to only eat boiled flesh. Only the righteous in the scriptures are only found eating boiled flesh. Only the wicked eat fire roasted flesh. Apart from the Passover, we're all the Passover is also only for men. I just did a video about that. But let me get into the boiled meat and potatoes of Revelation 18 and 19 that proves chicken to be unclean. Revelation chapter 18. This is the King James Version taken from the Textus Receptus, the Greek text. Quote, "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird." And that's the verse right here. Speaking of a cage for every unclean and hateful bird, some people want to say Babylon is a Jerusalem type. Some people want to say it's Babylon, USA. Some people want to say Babylon, Mecca. Some people want to say Babylon. They don't mystery Babylon. But anyways, here is a screenshot from the Jerusalem Post of Kaparot. That's that Yom Kippur sacrifice, where they sacrifice chickens, an unclean animal. And here you can see stacked up behind this vendor right here is a cage of chickens. So we have a cage of chickens in Jerusalem, just like the beginning picture that I showed you in the video. And I want to make a note, in the Greek, unclean and hateful are attributes of the same bird, unclean and hateful. And these birds are caged. And I'm going to be talking about that more coming up. But that word for bird in Revelation chapter 18, verse 2, right here, the word for bird is Strong's G3732, right here. Here it is. And it is, in the Greek, it's orneon. And you can see it right here. The outline usage is a bird. Here's the Strong's definition. Neuter of a presumed derivative of G3733, a birdling, bird, or fowl. All right, so that's why you see it's translated as bird here. It's translated bird one time, and it's translated as fowl two times. Bird right here, and then fowl here and fowl here. But this is all the same word. It's Strong's G3732, and it says the root word, or the etymology, it comes from this word right here, Strong's G3733. Okay, Strong's G3733 is ornis. So the word in Revelation is orneon. This is ornis, and the usage is as hen two times. It's a bird, a cock, a hen. But this is a female hen, and it's used in a female context. That's what we're going to see. Definition, probably from prolonged form of the base G3735, a bird rising in the air, specifically a hen, female domestic fowl, hen. That's what this word is. Now, Matthew and Luke use this word ornis. So this word ornis is only used two times, occurs two times in two verses in the Greek. And here it is, Matthew and Luke. And it's Yeshua speaking. So let me go ahead and explain this. And it's Messiah Yeshua. They apply it to Messiah Yeshua. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often I would have gathered thee together, as even as a hen gather her chickens, just her hatchlings, under her wings, and ye would not. Okay, so that word for chickens is not chickens. That's what I'm trying to say. This is the translators playing tricks on us with their suppositions into the text. Their false suppositions into the text. So I'm going to go ahead and click chickens right here, and you're going to see in Matthew 23:37 that word for chickens is nosion, and that means a brood of birds. It has nothing to do with chicken. It's also going to mean a brood of quails, as you'll find out in the next slides. And here's in Luke, rather than chickens, it uses a different word, her brood. So here you see them playing tricks. Here that word is translated as chickens. Here it's translated as brood. This is correct. Chickens is a false supposition. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which killest the prophets and stonest them that are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered thy children together as a hen doth gather her brood under her wings, and ye would not. And it's important to note that this is not speaking of chicken, as a lot of people thought. This is thinking of quail. Hens covered their brood. Right here, you can see that quail, this is a quail, this is a California quail, and underneath it is their brood. It's their hatchlings, their babies that they have. They all hide underneath. So Messiah Yeshua is speaking of a quail, a peaceful, loving animal, not a hateful, unclean animal that's hateful and bloodthirsty, but a non-bloodthirsty type animal and a domicile quail. That's how he wanted to gather Jerusalem. But he's going to come back on Jerusalem with fire. So that's really interesting that this is bringing up Jerusalem, Jerusalem, because Isaiah 66 is a prophecy about Zion and Jerusalem, specifically Jerusalem. And also Revelation, right here, 18 is about Babylon the Great, might be speaking about Jerusalem. That's a whole other argument to have. And quail don't eat flesh. They don't have a bloodlust like the chicken does. So I want to put it out there that the Greek word for birds right here is pteinion, okay? And it's translated as fowl or bird, but it's just a flying bird. So that is the Greek word used for bird. So this is speaking of an ornis or an orneon, and that is what's really interesting, this word of orneon. The word orneon, as I said, it is only used in Revelation. And reading all three passages, right here, it's used 3 times. Look, three times, a word occurs 3 times in 3 verses in the Greek. So the word ornis was used by Mark and by Luke, 2 different accounts of the Synoptic Gospel from the Q document. They translated it into the Greek as ornis. Here, this is the book of Revelation using a different form of that same word. This is written by John, but this is in Greek. Some people think that Revelation was written in the Aramaic, but it's been translated by the translators to orneon, the same root word from the Luke and Mark's Gospels, which we know is a hen, and we know is a quail hen, but quails are docile. They're peaceful animals. They're not out for blood. They don't have a bloodlust. They're not hateful and unclean, as it says in Revelation 18:2. Quail are clean birds, and they're not hateful. So now we got to find out what type of orneon Revelation is talking about. What type of hen Revelation is talking about. Okay, and what I want to share with you what I did, which is really going to be interesting. This is one of the proofs that we're in about proving that chicken is unclean. I'm going to prove that Revelation 18 and 19 is speaking of the chicken. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to look at these 3 verses, and then we're going to piece together the facts from these 3 verses. And then with these facts, we're going to piece them together, and we're going to get the full picture and characteristics and identify what this orneon is. Is it a chicken, or is it a quail, or some other type of hen bird that might be clean, or is it unclean? We're going to take a look at these characteristics and see what Revelation 18:2 says. Okay, we already know that the root word for orneon, the root word for orneon is ornis, which is a hen. So we're trying to figure out what type of hen it is. Is it a quail hen, or is it a chicken hen? Let's go ahead and find out. Revelation chapter 18, verse 2. In Revelation 18:2, the orneon, hen, is caged right here. And a cage of every unclean and hateful orneon. And again, Jerusalem has cages. I already showed you that. And here again, here's a stack of cages. This picture is taken from Jerusalem. Again, cages right here. And it's a cages full of chickens. All right? So that right there, cages and chickens in Babylon the Great. That's something that's interesting. The next clue in chapter 18, verse 2 is the Ornion is hateful. So now that it's hateful, let me go ahead and share with you how the chickens are hateful. Here's a video of some hens in nature fighting each other. These are hens. These are not cocks or roosters. These are hens fighting. So this is a rooster being attacked by hens. And then also we know that there is cockfighting all over the world. Now I can't show cockfighting videos clips in this video because I don't want to have a violation of services, but the male chickens do fight. Here's some chickens trying to fight each other between the fence. So now let me go. So we know that chickens from 18:2 is caged. It's hateful. All right. Now, is chicken unclean? That's what we're going to try to figure out. In Revelation 19:17, the Ornion will fly to eat a meal prepared for it as part of a gathered group. Revelation 19:17, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim. So if you prepare a meal for a bunch of chickens, and then you call the chickens to a meal, this is what that looks like. Let me play the clip.
这是我们一个养殖场，平时就以这种吹口哨，这种方式喂食嘛，时间久了，然后就产生这个效果。当时有2000多个。晚上回收的时候，你怎么数？就是不怕丢吗？这个不会丢的。其实有一个习性，天黑了之后，它就不到山上了，它就会自己回来，自己会回到它住的地方。开饭了！
And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great Elohim. And that is what we just saw in those video clips of the Ornion, the hen, the chicken, flying to a meal that was prepared for the Ornion, prepared for the fowls. And as you read in this, they're gathered as a group. Gather yourselves together. And you saw how like that flock of chickens just coming together to the supper that was prepared for it. And lastly, in Revelation chapter 19, verse 21, the Ornion eats dead flesh and are scavengers. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the ornion were filled with their flesh. So they're eating the flesh of dead humans. That's what's going on here in Revelation chapter 19:21. All right, so they're scavengers of dead flesh.
It's exactly what we want. We're wanting the best compost in the world, and this is how we do it. And now these birds are going compost. In fact, if you want to know the real truth,
If that was me laying there dead, they'll be eating me. If that was me laying there dead, they'll be eating me.
And that is exactly what this verse says in Revelation 19:21. It says the ornion eats the dead flesh of the people that were killed, those that were the remnant that were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse. The ornion will feast on those dead bodies, just like that guy said that if he were dead there in the street, they would be eating him. And that's what the ornion does. The ornion chicken, not the ornion quail. So wow, there you have that. So to summarize Revelation chapter 18 regarding the ornion, which is a hen-typed bird, is caged. It flies to a prepared meal gathering that was prepared for it. It'll fly to that in groups and gather itself together. It eats dead flesh and is a scavenger. And that means that the ornion has to be a chicken. It just fits everything in here that's described. I don't see it any other way. And this is proof that the chicken is unclean. And it's just one proof. There's another bigger proof from the Torah and the Gospels that I'm going to get into and prove it a second time, even stronger. So that is done. I'm going to get down here to the Aramaic Targum and the Peshitta, the Aramaic Peshitta, the Torah, both the Old Testament and the New Testament, both the Torah, the first 5 books, the Pentateuch, and the Gospels. And I'm going to prove a second time in a second manner that chicken are unclean. But first, I want to go over, share about the Jewish sacrifice of Caparo. I'm going to go ahead and play a quick clip on that. Then I'm going to go ahead and talk about chicken being unclean in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, first I'm going to talk about chicken in the Dead Sea Scrolls, all right? And this is Dead Sea Scroll 11Q21. This is fragment 3 of the Temple Scroll. This is a pretty legitimate scroll. This isn't a really weird writing. This is a Temple Scroll. It's a fragmented, as you can see, there's text missing. There's text missing here, and there's text missing here, and this is implied. But to enter my city, text missing. You are not to raise chickens, text missing in any part of the sanctuary. So this right here, you need to understand that chickens are not to be in Jerusalem. This was written about, I believe, in other outside biblical sources besides the Temple Scroll. But the reason probably why, A, they're noisy, B, they just run around crazy everywhere. They look crazy. You know, if you really think about it, you don't want to be walking on a road next to a bunch of chickens and all of that. If there's donkeys walking around or horses coming through, you don't want the chickens next, you know, scaring animals. And chickens also, they're really dirty. They carry salmonella bacteria, which I think out of all of the animals out there, they're like really high percentage of carriers of salmonella bacteria. So that's why you don't want that unclean poop everywhere, stepping in unclean poop, going into the mikveh with unclean poop on, chicken poop on you or whatever, sitting in there. You don't want any of that. You want it clean, and you don't want the chickens. Now you're going to say, well, why was there chickens in there at the time of Yeshua? Well, first of all, the Edomites were in charge of Jerusalem then, and the Romans, and the Edomites, Herod, and then before that, you had the Hasmoneans rule, and that's all bad stuff. That's just, and then the Greeks before that, it was all bad stuff happening then. So what were they doing there? It wasn't run by the righteous. It was run by the wicked. Jerusalem was run by the wicked, not by the righteous. So they're going to have unclean things there. And also, there are a lot of valleys in Jerusalem or outside of Jerusalem. The roosters that crowed could have been outside of Jerusalem, and you could just hear it from everywhere. So I've been fortunate enough to be in Jerusalem for about a year, spent about a year in Jerusalem and stayed in different parts of Jerusalem, stayed all around Jerusalem on the outside of Jerusalem, not inside. And yeah, you can really hear the crocs crowing, especially in the valleys. If you've ever been to Jerusalem in the morning and you're down there by Kidron Valley or by the Tropian Valley or by the Valley of Gehenna, early in the morning it's very quiet, and if there's roosters outside of the walled city, yeah, you can hear the roosters and crocs, you can hear the roosters crow in the morning. It's a no-brainer. And on a side note, quail eggs, delicious right here, small, delicious. They don't carry a salmonella risk at all because they have a increased amount of lysozyme in the eggs, an antimicrobial enzyme which kills harmful bacteria. So you don't have to worry about getting salmonella risk in the quail eggs. That's something to consider. Here on Cyprus, they have a lot of quail eggs. Even in Egypt, when I was in Egypt, they had quail eggs. And in Jordan, they also had quail eggs in Ammon. So you can get quail eggs almost anywhere. You just have to know where to look. They're not going to be as cheap as chicken eggs, but why would you want to eat that? It's unclean. I'm going to talk about that. So just some more information from that era, even earlier than the Temple Scroll. This is part of an article that I screenshotted from Birds in the Bible, from Angel to A to Z, basically, by Simon Roberts, okay? And what's interesting about that, he talks about the clean birds, and lists of clean birds are given in the letter of Aristaces, okay? And he, quote, pigeons, turtle doves, locusts, partridges, geese, and others like them. It needs to be noted that chicken is not mentioned in this list. Now you're saying, Nick, why are you bringing up this letter of Aristaces? This letter of Aristaces is maybe from like 300 to 250 BCE, somewhere around 250 BCE, 250 years before Messiah Yeshua. And he is not listing chicken or jungle fowl or anything like that as clean. And Aristaeus, here's the Wikipedia article, 3rd or early 2nd century BC. The letter describes the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible by 72 interpreters sent into Egypt from Jerusalem at the request of the librarian of Alexandria, resulting in the Septuagint translation. So it's amazing that this letter survived, and people have referenced this letter, and it's amazing. All right, so that, look, the letter's author claims to be a courtier of Ptolemy II Philadelphus, who reigned from 281 to 246 BC. So this person is somewhere around Ptolemy II's reign, that many years before. And again, here's a quote from that letter of the clean animals: pigeons, turtle doves, locusts, partridges, geese, and others like them. Chicken is left out. And I would say a partridge is more closer to a quail than it is to a chicken. Maybe, I don't know scientifically, but that's how I would understand it. We know quail are clean. That's how it is in the scriptures. Now let me go ahead and move to a clip of the Kapparot in Jerusalem. I know that you guys want to get to this right here regarding the Old Testament, proving chicken unclean from the Old Testament. It is major. But first I'm going to play this clip to see what's being done in Jerusalem, what's actually done all over the world.
Yom Kippur is the most important day in the Jewish calendar, and one that chickens find most foul. just before the fast, it's they who must take on the sins of Orthodox Jews. With throats cut, they slowly expire in a bucket while their killers pray.
We're trying to transfer all your sins. That really, when a person does a sin, you're supposed to be killed. But God in His mercy says you can be spared. So we try to transfer the sins from you onto the chicken, and the chicken gets killed, as you see over here.
The dead chickens are later given to charity. The rites frowned upon by many more mainstream Jews, but practitioners take their traditions seriously. As chickens panic, activity elsewhere ceases. For 24 hours, shops and businesses are shuttered, buses and trains stop running, and virtually no one drives.
So wow, that's crazy to see them actually doing this. Blood is everywhere. They're horrible at sacrificing the animal because there's blood everywhere. The priests aren't supposed to have a drop of blood on any of their linen when they're doing the sacrifice. It's totally unsanitary. Chicken crap. You saw the chicken poop on that guy's head. Wow, that's hilarious. So now with that video, let me go ahead and get to the boiled meat and potatoes of this video. The unclean bird list of Leviticus chapter 11 in the Aramaic, and then I'm going to prove from the Aramaic Old Testament and the Aramaic New Testament that chicken is unclean. It's been there the entire time. So here is an unclean bird list of Leviticus 11. Again, it's important to note that the Hebrew language was lost as a spoken language for a long time. There was Yiddish, but that's not it. And a lot of the people that preserved the Yiddish, most of them weren't even Israelites. Maybe 10% of them are Israelites. Most of them were all converts to Judaism. And so that means that the meanings of some of these words were also lost, especially regarding the animals and the creatures. And also it's important to note that when Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy was given, we're talking 1445 BCE, before the Common Era, all right, and 1406 BCE. We are not talking recently. So at the time, chicken might not have been domesticated at 1446 BC. Probably was, but might not have been. So at the time, it might have just been the red jungle fowl. So I'm going to be talking about that in the scriptures here. So here's the unclean list of the KJV version. I crossed out the lapwing and I'm putting in wild fowl because I'm going to be proving this from the Aramaic. I have the Aramaic right here. This is the Aramaic word for wild fowl right here. And you can see it right here as well. In Leviticus chapter 11, verse 19, this is the only scripture, the Peshitta Holy Bible translated, which is the Aramaic, okay? People call it the language of Jesus. We don't know what Yahshua spoke. On one forum here, I found this moderator of Aramaic Studies, who's the moderator of this group called Aramaic Designs. He left a comment that this word right here, wild, right here in the Aramaic, is zoologically the Hopi bird, but the phrase literally means wild fowl. So we just want to know what the literal meaning of the word is. We don't want to know this guy's presuppositions, what he thinks the word is, because he obviously doesn't understand what is going on in the Bible. Because he here says it could not be a chicken, yet it says it's a wild fowl. Because he can't put two and two together. I'm going to prove that coming up. Actually, he can't put 1 plus 1 together because he doesn't look for that word in the New Testament, and it's there in the New Testament as well in the Aramaic, so we know what this word means. But he says with chickens considered domesticated fowl, so it could not be a chicken. So this guy is saying that it's not a chicken, and I'm going to go ahead. That's a total false understanding, incorrect understanding on his part. This was simply kalkud in translation from the Hebrew, which is thought to be a vulture. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's regardless. What the truth is that this word right here, literally in the Aramaic, okay, the ancient Aramaic scripts of Leviticus 11:19 means wild fowl. And here it's translated into the English as a male chicken. In Deuteronomy, also that word appears in Deuteronomy 14:17 as a male chicken. Same thing, okay, as Leviticus 11:19. But it means wild fowl. That's what it means. And here is the list. This is the Aramaic Targum Peshitta unclean bird list of Leviticus 11. This is not the verses. There's just 15 species listed in the Aramaic. And you can see right here, number 14, this is the word that we just saw. And it's Tarngul bara. And again, Tarngul bara literally means wild fowl, translated by the translators of the Peshitta Holy Bible as a male chicken. And here is a screenshot of the digital Syriac corpus right here, document 230. And I did a word search in it because I don't read Aramaic, but here's the word search that I did. And you can see it highlighted right here, the Tarngul bara. Right here. And again, this word literally means wild fowl. So this is a Leviticus commentary. So they're talking about this, and the word is there from way back, from a long time ago, according to this document. And that's where this guy got it wrong. He did not look for this word, the words from Leviticus and Deuteronomy. He didn't look for this word in the New Testament. That's why he can't understand what's going on here. Even though he speaks Aramaic, he can read Aramaic. I don't read Aramaic. I don't have to read Aramaic to understand this. I just have to be able to add 1 plus 1 or understand 1 equals 1, and that's what you have. Right here in the New Testament, it appears all over the Aramaic Peshitta, the Aramaic New Testament, all over. So when I say all over the gospel, the Aramaic Gospels of the Aramaic New Testament Peshitta. This word is used 14 times in the Gospels. Right here, you can see the word search 14 times in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So this word is the same word that's used in Leviticus 11:19 and in Deuteronomy 14:17 of the Aramaic Targum Peshitta. Here is a screenshot of Matthew chapter 26. I'm on the Holy Aramaic Scriptures.weebly.com website. I went to Matthew chapter 26. I cut and paste this word right here into the search. Boom, right here, verse 70, Matthew 26, 74 and 75 and other places. Then he began to curse and swear. This is speaking of Peter. I don't know the man. At that moment, the Tarnagla, the rooster, cried out. And Kepha, Peter, the rock, remembered the word which Yeshua, had said unto him. Before the Tarnagla, the rooster cries out 3 times, you will deny me. And he went outside weeping bitterly. So there you have it. This word right here, Tarngla bara, equals the wild fowl in the Aramaic Targum, the Aramaic Torah right here, the Old Testament, and in the New Testament it's translated as rooster. This word Tarngul bara, that's wild rooster right here, that's in Leviticus 11:19 and Deuteronomy 14 verse 17 in the Aramaic Targum, in the Aramaic Peshitta Targum. In the Aramaic New Testament, the Aramaic Peshitta, the word Tarnagla appears in Matthew 26:34, verse 34, verse 74 and 75, Mark chapter 14, verse 30, 68 and 72, Luke verse 22, 34, 60, and 61, and John 13 verse 38 and 18 verse 27. So this guy, he doesn't understand what he's talking about. The Torah was written 1446 BC. It was the wild rooster in the Aramaic. Bara is wild. You have the Tarngul Bara, and then about 1,500 years later, it's just the rooster in the New Testament, Tarngul. That lettering right here is the same as this lettering here. All right, so I don't know Aramaic letters that well, but this looks like it's a T or Tet, Resh, Nun, Lamed, and here we go, Tet, Resh, Nun, some other letter, and then a Lamed. So there's a difference here between, and then this has some letter at the end. Maybe that's Aleph, where they get this A from. So you could see Tarn, Gul, Tarn, Gula. It's basically the same words. And this is Tarngul Bara or Tarngul, and this is like Tharn Nagla. And this could just be the way that this translator, he speaks Aramaic. We don't speak Aramaic. I don't speak Aramaic. I refer to Messiah Yeshua as Yeshua, according to the Aramaic name, Yeshua. But he pronounces Yeshua's name translated as Ishu. Here's the picture of him translating it as Ishu. His name, Yeshua's name is Ishu. So this could all be just a different in pronunciation. That's why he translated it like this in English letters. But there's so many letters here. It's basically the same word. And in context of the story where this word appears, it's all speaking of the rooster crowing, which is, this is what this word means in the Aramaic. It actually means wild fowl or wild rooster. So that's what we have it at. Even in the Aramaic Bible, they translated it into the English as the male chicken, which is a rooster. Okay, so that's what that is. And all 14 times that this word is used in the Aramaic New Testament Peshitta, it's all in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and it's all regarding the same account of when Messiah Yeshua prophesied to Peter that he would deny him 3 times before the rooster crowed, and then the rooster crowed. And that's what this is all about. So there you have it. That word is definitely speaking of a rooster crowing, and it's also in the Torah. The Torah, the first 5 books of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. So there you have it. The word right here is the same word, rooster, to hear. All right? It's just the same. This is some sort of context of this word, tarngla. All right? The rooster, tarnugl, the rooster. And you can see here that this rooster right here, this is a wild rooster, and then this is a domestic rooster, the Gallus gallus F domestica. But this is a Gallus gallus, the wild red jungle fowl, and then this is the Gallus gallus F domestica. Wild rooster versus domestic rooster. You can't tell the difference. The only really difference is the wild red rooster, the red jungle fowl, or the Gallus gallus, has gray legs, okay, while the domestic rooster has yellow legs. That's really it. Plus, the domestic rooster is bigger, but also it has a yellow like flap on its whatever right below its eye. This one has a white one. So those are the only 2 real differences that you can see. But again, this root word right here, the tarngala and the tarngul, it's the same basically right here. All right, I don't know how to read Aramaic, but this is enough to show right here that it's speaking of the same bird. Okay, it was just a domestic rooster right here. It was a domestic rooster. And so, just like wild swine and domestic swine are both unclean, so is the wild rooster and the domestic rooster. Both are unclean according to the Aramaic Targum. According to the Aramaic Peshitta, which has obviously it has the same word right here. Most of that whole word is the same word for this male chicken or this wild fowl, the rooster. So there you have it. Okay, this is proof right here. It's been proved right here, hallelujah, that The rooster of the New Testament is the same bird as the wildfowl of the Old Testament. Hallelujah, all praise to Yah. So please share this information with your brothers and sisters. So now I proved in 2 different ways, 2 different locations, from Revelation that the chicken is unclean, and then it's an unclean and hateful bird, and then also from proof from the Torah of the Aramaic Torah, which is the Targum, and also the New Testament Peshitta, that chicken is unclean. Hallelujah, hallelujah. So, all praise to Yah. Now, there is a false explanation out there on the internet about the crow explanation, okay? That word for the Greek rooster in the New Testament is this alektor, okay? But it doesn't use the word orneon for this. Now, here is this false explanation. It was first put out by a woman named Evra, September 6, 2014. I believe it's false. I believe I just showed you that it was actually the cock or the rooster crowing that before Peter denied. This woman from White Feather Ministry wants to say that the word for alakor is to symbolize a person shouting that the prayer was about to begin for the morning sacrifice, and that word, the shouting person or whatever, aklador, is an idiom when they translate it into the Greek. And so that was also perpetuated by Bible Pathway Adventures. They basically took this whole teaching right here, buried on the internet from September 2014, and they just put this out in December 2023. I don't believe that they cited this information here, but they didn't cite their source, but it's obvious to me that they picked it up from here. This is the only person I could see that wrote on that. So I believe that this hypothesis right here is a false hypothesis. I believe actually that this root word of Targol bara is the same word that's used in the Gospels, Targol right here, and that chicken is unclean. It's completely evident right here that that Matthew was not talking about a person crying out that it was time to pray, but that it was actually a rooster. That's the same root word here, Leviticus 11:19 and Deuteronomy 14, which is probably just rooster, just means rooster. Okay, so there you have that. 100% proof chicken is unclean. Hallelujah. I hope that you brothers and sisters out there are blessed by this video. Please share this video with everybody out there in the Torah community that are keeping the commandments. In the video description, there is a link. Click this link that just appeared on the screen to my Restored Covenant of Noah. Watch like 4 or 5 videos in a row. Watch it. You're supposed to be in covenant of the covenant of Noah. It's a perpetual covenant. You can only eat boiled flesh. So I hope everybody is blessed by this information in this video. And I'm signing off. So shalom to my brothers and sisters. Messiah Yeshua, shalom to you. And I'm signing off. Shalom.